Welcome to the Deep Dive into Agile Marketing Podcast with your host, John Cass. Together, we'll take a closer look at the ins and outs of marketing through an Agile lens. You'll learn from interviews with top Agile thought leaders and practitioners and gain fresh new insights for your journey. Let's get ready to dive in.
Welcome to the Deep Dive into Agile Marketing podcast with John Cass. I'm your host, John Cass, here in Boston, Massachusetts. Today, I'll be interviewing Ackley Gaskin of TD Bank in Canada. Welcome, Ackley. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, John. Thank you for having me.
In preparing for this call, we talked a little bit about your journey to Agile marketing. Perhaps you can start off by talking about the different roles at TD Bank and how that ties into the bank's digital marketing transformation journey.
I think I've been really lucky and really blessed to work at TD Bank in the domain that I've worked in. I've I had a great opportunity come up probably about 3 years ago or so, and it was really to play a pivotal role in introducing Agile marketing into our digital marketing group through two ways: through a comprehensive upskilling and training program, as well as introducing Agile ways of working to our existing resources and teams.
Great. So why is Agile playing an important part in the bank's digital transformation?
Well, honestly, John, I think like many other industries, we're always attempting to find efficiencies in how we work, right? And find efficiencies in working better for our customers. With regards to digital marketing, it is, really faced with, it provides a benefit to the overall bank with regards to being able to quickly respond to customers, right? In the various environments and platforms that we interact with them. And I think, Agile ways of working really provides a great framework for digital marketing teams to better leverage their fast-paced environment and better leverage that interaction with those customers.
So in your role as the Agile marketing consultant for digital marketing and heavily contributing as a subject matter expert to the Center of Excellence for marketing teams and how, Agile marketing was deployed, what was the response to Agile by the teams and leaders in marketing to the use of Agile marketing?
I think, overall, it was incredibly well received, and I was I was greatly supported by all our leaders in marketing. So it was definitely well received. I think, from the perspective of leadership, it was important for leaders to bring managers, along for the journey, right? This couldn't be seen as just a top-down thing. This had to be seen as a holistic team effort. So that was very important. Another important point was really, growing that Agile mindset, right? And that is key. So it's one thing to exercise your Agile, Agile muscles and work in an Agile framework, but evolving that mindset is just as important, if not more important. I would say, because that's what really gets you it's key to have that across all the teams that are participating in an Agile framework.
Do you think that the Agile mindset for marketers is about being willing to be more transparent in a way?
I think the mindset has several different layers to it. I think transparency is just one of them, definitely, and that's one of the benefits of operating an Agile framework is it really brings transparency to the cross collaboration of the teams that are participating in the Agile way of working. I think that, just something as simple as having a backlog brings transparency to the efforts that are supporting an overall goal of the pod. So I think transparency is one of them, definitely. I think you also have some other key benefits, whether it be, employee engagement, speed to market, and overall just learning customers at a enhanced pace. Being able to really take those micro moments and understanding of the customer and being able to iterate quickly and cross collaboratively, I think is really some of the other benefits outside of transparency as well.
To me, Agile is really an opportunity to have a discussion about the role of marketing, whether marketers get to deploy marketing strategy fully. Why does Agile help marketers have a discussion, with the different members of the team about what marketing does and, has that discussion with leaders and stakeholders? That's
definitely where the transparency comes in across leaderships and working teams. I think it's a shift from leaders to leaders providing a bit of a northern star of sorts to teams, right? And creating the environment for teams to be able to drive forward towards it. So instead of delivering, this is what we're doing, the leaders would be delivering, this is where we want to be, right? And then letting the subject matter experts within the various pods and all the various people playing the roles in the pods, whether it be your Scrum, whether it be your program owner, or any of the other superheroes in the pods, really ideate together and come with some iterative, test and learns or iterative execution so that they can move towards that proverbial, northern star that's been provided.
In chatting with a number of marketers about the growth of Agile marketing, and this, hasn't just been in North America, but across the world, actually, finance and banking has come up often as a sector of Agile, for where Agile is growing in the marketing profession. What's been your experience and why do you think that is, both in Canada and in the international scene?
That's an interesting question, John. I think, honestly, banking innovation, like many other sectors, has been primarily driven by the pace of technology, right? Technology is really, really, driven that at an increased pace. So, you have customer expectations are always getting influenced by technology, right? And so, once before, you'd be willing to wait for certain things, but now, with the speed and the ease that technology brings to various sectors, I think, the expectation has been upped definitely, right? So marketing is not immune to this. All right. At this point, digital marketing really, really should be known as just marketing in a digital age, essentially. This is where I feel we're going. And definitely, depending on the sector, there are certain sectors that are further ahead than others. But really and truly, that's where I see, the term digital marketing will just be marketing in a digital age.
I wonder if, in banking and finance, every time I've worked with a banking and finance marketing professional, I've always been struck about how sophisticated they are. Bankers and finance, they seem to have a better idea of what marketing is and knowing the value of it. That seems to, do you think that's a factor in it? Or it's just been interesting to me to see it pop up so early. I mean, I remember doing a podcast with my colleague, Frank Days, 10 years ago, 2010 or so, with an early VP, CMO of marketing at a bank. Why was it so early?
I think there was, outside of, again, the customer expectations, so quickly moving pace of innovation, I think it really provides an opportunity for marketing teams to change how they're doing things, right? And as you said, it's been, you remember up to 10 years ago, you were discussing this, and I think there's really some legs to that insofar as that it's been, normally in marketing areas, I think we've changed, the marketing profession has changed, but maybe not to the extent that it's changed with regards to the customers that it's serving, right? And the expectations, again, of those customers. So I think Agile marketing plays a really pivotal role and redefining how marketing teams interact with each other internally and externally with partners to be able to not only catch up, but then always try to stay one step ahead of that expectation, because that's where you will really create that defining moment.
You moved to a new role, becoming a chief product owner in a business line. How does your experience with the Center of Excellence for Agile Marketing help your new role?
Oh, tremendously. Agile marketing, it was really birthed from, it pulls on a lot of the traditional Agile methodologies from other areas, whether it be software or product development, and its application in marketing and business areas will significantly differ, making it work for the team that's applying for it, that is applying Agile marketing, right? I think with more focuses on customer journeys and more focuses on things like that within the product teams, I think definitely having a marketing skill set and knowledge helps. And then, as I said, being exposed to agile marketing, and agile as a whole, I think really helps people jump in with 2 feet, whether they're in marketing, whether they're in product, whether they're in any other technology area or product development area. Having that expertise and that exposure, at its base, I feel is really helps people navigate organizations.
Do you think that you've brought extra insights to the new business line through your existing experience in agile marketing in the Center of Excellence? I mean, do you think that it kind of reminds me? I actually worked in a situation where I introduced agile to a company in agile marketing, and then the company readily adopted agile development. Do you think is that kind of this situation, or do you think you're bringing some extra perspectives here to the business line?
Mm-hmm. I think agile in its truest form was in multiple areas of the organization. I think what the great thing here, though, is seeing agile applied in different definitions across the organization. That's, I think, the key to that any person would bring moving into various roles within an organization, right? So not only do they bring the base knowledge of understanding, the key characteristics of agile, they bring that agile mindset, as we touched on, as well as they bring a different look or perspective at agile. So I think it's not so much taking it and bringing it to another area of the organization. I think it's being able to complement the understanding of agile practices across the organization.
What do you think that we can do as marketers to encourage agile marketing adoption, in your sector, Canada, and the profession?
I think it's funny because I do feel that while, encouraging adoption is great, and I think it's a good thing, I think to me, it's one of those things where you will adopt or fall behind. That's what I think it's going to be. So I think that's it. While it's good to encourage adoption, I think those that adopt it will maintain competitive, and those that don't adopt it will find themselves falling behind. And I think that is probably impetus enough to adopt agile marketing as an agile way of working.
Well, I think you make a good point. And, we talked a little bit earlier about digital transformation or maybe even digital marketing transformation. I wonder if that's the area. I mean, I think people often start off with agile marketing thinking about sort of processes within the team. Then they start seeing benefits in talking with transparency. But I wonder if the bigger opportunity here, and maybe the reason why adoption might happen, is because the forces of digital transfer, and we've seen that so much, the last year or so. I wonder if digital transformation is just going to have such a big impact, and Agile is going to provide that path. What are your thoughts?
I would agree, and let's remember that Agile in its more traditional form, grew up within development shops, right? So as you kind of blur the lines from the perspective of marketing, digital marketing and digital technologies, I think there definitely will be bleed over. And I think as people become more aware and teams become more collaborative, I think, agile marketing will just become more and more the defining or the de facto way of working. It kind of touches again on that. So, fast-paced customer expectations and behaviors changing and technology driving that, right? So again, I feel that with that transformation and with that continued high collaboration between teams and across the various areas of the organization, it'll only amp up Agile as a whole, and specific Agile marketing will just continue to evolve.
Well, Ackley, thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate it. And thanks for doing such a great job on the podcast.
Awesome, John. It's been great. Thank you so much. I enjoy talking about this stuff. Thank you for having me on the show.
Thanks for joining us on the deep dive into Agile marketing with John Cass. My thanks to Ackley, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for joining us for another episode of the Deep Dive into Agile Marketing podcast. Be sure and subscribe to our show and leave a review to let us know what you thought of today's episode. And if you like what you heard and want to learn more, visit www.businessagility.institute.
You may know you're listening to this show along the Marketing Podcast Network, but did you know there are other great shows on MPN to help your business? Robbie Samuels hosts the On the Schmooze podcast. Robbie, tell listeners what to expect from the show.
Since 2015, I've interviewed entrepreneurs who overcame challenges to achieve success in their field or industry. Tune in to On the Schmooze to listen as I ask deep questions to elicit untold stories about leadership and networking.
And where can people subscribe?
Find the show at ontheschmooze.com or on marketingpodcast.net, or just search for it wherever you get your podcasts.
You heard them. Go subscribe. This podcast is heard along the Marketing Podcast Network. For more great marketing podcasts, visit marketingpodcasts.net.